Well, good evening. Oh, it's not that late. Good afternoon. The day just started. Welcome to Thinking Tuesday, another opportunity to uplevel our thinking, another opportunity to take inventory intentionally about what we think and why we think what we think, and how to change thinking patterns that are not serving us. That's what Thinking Tuesday is all about. Reviewing, evaluating our thinking, and making those necessary tweaks or changes that are necessary. Around here, we believe that our thoughts drive our feelings and our feelings drive our actions. So we strive to cultivate good, self affirming, positive thoughts and develop a positive mindset that will ultimately drive us to making good decisions and take actions that will move us towards our dreams and our goals. And to also shape us into the kind of person that we aspire to be, because we're always becoming. We're never fully there because there's always more that we can achieve in terms of our personal growth. So it's befitting that our slogan for Thinking Tuesday is your mind is a garden, your thoughts are the seeds, and you can grow flowers or you can choose to grow weeds. It's always your choice what you think and what you allow to come into your mind. Before you know it, those weeds take over. I personally don't like weeds because they take up useful space and choke out the beautiful flowers, right, that we try to grow. And those beautiful flowers are the beautiful positive thoughts that we talk about on Thinking Tuesday. Before you know it, the garden is overrun by weeds and all the flowers are gone. And all of the hard work that you've tried to do has gone away. But even though some weeds are flowering, they are still weeds, right? It reminds me of wolves in sheep's clothing, right? A weed is a weed is a weed, no matter how it's dressed up, right? And so are negative thoughts. Negative thoughts are just like that. They're like weeds. Sometimes they're difficult to discern because of how they're presented, how they're clothed. But they're still weeds. I just said a weed is a weed. A negative thought is a negative thought. Doesn't matter how it presents itself. Sometimes they're easy to identify. And then we have to make a decision when we identify them. Should we root them out? Should I root them out? Or should I ignore them? Now, that's a very, very important question. Because, like I said, we always have the choice of what we think and how we think. You might find yourself debating at points with your thoughts, such as you might say or ask yourself, well, I'm used to thinking this way, that it's hard for me to choose otherwise, to think otherwise. That's the way I'm made. That's the way I'm wired. I hear people say that all the time. Or you might say, it's going to be too disruptive for change my mindset because there's so much at stake. I'm going to get pushback from my friends. I'm going to get pushback from my family. It's going to create too much conflict. Those are some of the things that we think about when we recognize that some of our thoughts are not in our best interest. But we're comfortable thinking that way, and we don't want to risk what we think is going to be pushed back. Or you might think, I might lose friends or even family members if I adopt or express new ways of thinking. Or my friends might make fun of me because they're going to think that I'm trying to be someone that I'm not. All of those kinds of thoughts go through our heads when we have to make decisions about thinking differently and acting differently. But in the end, in the final analysis, you are the only one that can make that decision. No one else can make it for you. No one else can, or should make that decision for you. That's solely your decision because it's going to drive your actions. You have to live with the consequences of your thoughts and your actions. So make sure that you make the right decision, and it's just your decision, no one else's. Now, some of you might remember in thinking about thoughts and how we use our minds, some of you might remember an adage, a slogan that was used or still used by the United Negro College Fund that says, "A mind is a terrible thing to waste." And it is. When we don't really examine our thinking, we're wasting our minds. We're not using our minds in a way that's conducive to our personal growth. This adage, this slogan, was based on a campaign that began in 1972 when the spotlight was being placed on partnering with corporations and asking individuals to commit to raising funds to support college education for Black and other students of color to attain a college education that they would otherwise not be able to attain. And through this campaign, tens of thousands of students of color were able to go, and still are able to go to college and begin a life that could have been more difficult for them, if not attainable, if not impossible for them to attain. So that "a mind is a terrible thing to waste" is a slogan that really took this fundraising off, and today it's still helping many, many young people of color to get the education, to use their minds, to develop their minds. And we do have evidence. We have evidence of what can be produced as a result of Black students and students of color having the support to develop their minds and contribute to their community and to the world at large, for that matter. And I would raise one example with you that would resonate with everyone, considering the current pandemic that we're in. And this has impacted everyone and help us to navigate through this pandemic. And that person that I want to lift up today, as a result of her using her mind and being supported by people who knew that she had something of value to offer, and we all do. We just have to find the right people to help to uplift us. And that person, excuse me, that person is Dr. Kismikia Corbett, a 36-year-old African-American woman who led the research team in the development of what we know today as the Moderna vaccine against the COVID-19. Yes, she is one of the products of the fund that allow her to go to college and develop her mind, develop a talent, develop a passion that she had, and look where she is today. All of us are benefiting from that. So as we celebrate Black History Month, she is one of the many celebrated figures that we salute for their contributions to that all of us are benefiting from. And she also represents a model for our young Black and brown children, because she is the result of aspirations that she had to do better and to develop herself in such a way that others can benefit from what she has achieved. Now, when I speak on Thinking Tuesday, in Thinking Tuesday, my messages are usually generalized. They're always generalized to all, because we're all products of our thinking. And we need to evaluate, as I always say, our thinking and the way our thinking shape our decisions. But today, I want to focus specifically on the Black population as we pause to look at our achievements as a people, while at the same time not losing focus on the need to continue to fight for equality and our civil rights. It's our right. It's not a privilege, it's our right. So although we set aside these 28 or sometimes 29 days in February for this celebration, it is something that we must celebrate daily. We celebrate our worth as a people. We celebrate our resilience as a people, despite the daily micro and macro aggressions that we face. So we are a resilient people, and we have to tap into, where did we get that from? We have a lot of challenges still to face, but our ancestors had even more. And it's because of their resilience that we can be resilient. We've accomplished much, but it's still not enough. I'm particularly inspired to address the way in which we must think about ourselves as people of color. We cannot and we must not allow others to define who we are or to set limits for us. We, every individual person of color, should make that determination. No one else should make that determination for us. This is an individual journey that we must take on a daily basis. So all that I share on Thinking Tuesday applies here, but applies even more. We are living in a world of structural racism that impacts us daily. It influences our thinking, it influences our decision, it influences how we see ourselves and the decisions we make. And we always need to keep that in mind. A healthy paranoia is a good thing. We need to look at the system in which we're living and how it impacts us, and how we think about that, and how we can find solutions and not be reactive, but be proactive. Our history of being oppressed need not lead us to continue to live in oppressed situations, but to find ways of being uplifted and uplifting others, uplifting our brothers and sisters. So many times the question that people ask, and we need to be aware of what we adopt and how we ask questions and how we think. We have to think differently. But many times the question is, what's wrong with you? When the question really should be, what is happening to you, or what has happened to you that caused you to respond, to behave, to think in the way that you're thinking? We cannot fall into society's construct of blaming the victim, but at the same time, we cannot condone behavior that puts us all at risk. We all have to be responsible for our behavior ultimately. But unfortunately, hurt people hurt people. And that's what I always try to think about when people come before me with different issues that they're facing. It's not to give them a free pass or an excuse, but I feel very, very strongly that the etiology is extremely important. When you go to a doctor does not begin by prescribing a treatment for you without first examining what's the cause of what it is that you're bringing to his or her attention. So we have to do the same thing. What is each of us willing to do? That's my question. What is each of us willing to do to address the needs of Black and people of color? We're not all going to have the same answer, so we have to allow for diversity of thought. But each of us has a responsibility to uplift each other and to share the knowledge that we have. And that's really the driving force behind Thinking Tuesday for me, because I realize that all of what we do starts in how we think. We can begin to check our own biases, we have to, that get in the way of our genuine interactions. Being more compassionate to those who are hurting. Setting appropriate boundaries to preserve our own mental health, because we can't give what we don't have. But we also don't want to be selfish in offering assistance when we can or where we can. We also need to be speaking up and confronting injustices where they exist, and finding ways to address challenges that lead to positive outcomes. Many times we get so caught up in the problems and not so much in the solutions. So let's think about solutions. We have to create safe spaces in our homes, in our churches, our places of worship, our places of employment, in our schools, and in our communities, where we can have those courageous conversations to address many of the issues that continue to oppress people of color, and find ways to design opportunities for the solutions, because ultimately it's the solutions that we want to get to. And this is by no means at all an exhaustive list of the things we can do to contribute to and improve lives for ourselves as people of color. And I'm talking about people of color, but everyone benefits when everyone is given an opportunity. So I would like you to think, I'm challenging you to think about ways in which you as an individual, because we all have a responsibility, what can you do, what can we do as individuals in our own space, in our communities, through our contacts, to contribute to the uplifting of people of color? I hope, as always, that this message resonates with you, and that it will cause you to think about how you can contribute to the conversation to address the many issues that confront people of color, and how we can build resilience, more resilience as a people. Most importantly, how we can change our mindset to be informed by our historical challenges, but at the same time, cause our historical challenges to inspire us to rise above them and be the persons that we have been created to be. Yes, we have been created to be more than we were yesterday, and more than we will be tomorrow. So we have an assignment. We were brought here for an assignment. And we all have infinite potential. We have to break those mental chains of limitations, because you are only limited by your imagination. Yes, there may be a challenge, but it is possible to move beyond the circumstances that you don't like, the circumstances that you might be living in, circumstances that might have been put upon you. It all begins with your thinking. The way we think is key to navigating us through the challenges we face, any challenge. And we don't need to go it alone, because there are people willing and able to help us. Even as I end this message, I know that there's so much more that could be said and that need to be said. However, unfortunately, time does not permit. because this is Thinking Tuesday. This is just a small time, a period of time that we reserve, but the conversation needs to be continued. So, where can you continue this conversation? I would like to invite you to contact me for a complimentary consultation if you would like to address any of these or any other issues regarding your personal growth, because it has to do ultimately with our individual personal growth. Because as we grow, we're able to give to others and we can help others. We can help to enlighten others. We don't have our gifts to hoard and to keep for ourselves. But when we're blessed with awareness of who we are and what we can do to help, we should find a way to help. At least that's my philosophy. You are capable, and I feel this sincerely. You're capable. We're all capable of determining the plan for our lives as we would like to see it. And I would just love to assist you in doing that. So visit my website, drcherylburton.com, to book a complimentary consultation and review the programs and services that I offer to help you to get to where you want to get to. And as always, please feel free to share this with someone who you love, who you care about, who you feel could benefit from this message and from the information on my website. So I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. At what time? At noon. For Thinking Tuesday, it's always a pleasure. Take care of yourself. Think positively. Check your thoughts. Don't be afraid to challenge your thoughts, challenge your thinking, and don't be afraid to change it. Change your mindset, change your thoughts if you feel they're not serving you well. Because ultimately, you have to live with the actions that you take based on your thinking. So I thank you again for listening. I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at noon. Take care and bye for now. Bye-bye.